Found us. This is Christine with Christine Burke Fitness, and I'm here today with Eleanor Baker, registered nutrition. She is a sports dietitian, and she is the owner of Elevated Nutrition and Wellness. I invited Eleanor to talk with me because I'm a personal trainer, fitness trainer, and a running coach. And Eleanor works with runners. One of the questions I have, something that happens to me, I'm training for a marathon now, and I am gaining weight. That is always something that I notice happens to me as my workouts get harder. I get hungrier and I gain weight. So I asked her if she had suggestions for managing weight during race training. I hope you'll enjoy this. I'm looking forward to this presentation as well. Eleanor, do you have anything to add about your background that you'd like us to know?
Yeah, so I have a background in running. I actually ran Division I cross country and track in college, and was nationally ranked in the women's steeplechase. And today I have the privilege of continuing to work with track and field athletes as well as more recreational athletes, helping them to understand how to fuel their body appropriately, different lifestyle interventions that they can infuse into their routines to help them create balanced lifestyles so that they can thrive towards those athletic endeavors, as well as different nutrition strategies to help them get there. So as a registered dietitian, I personally have my undergrad and master's degree in nutrition and dietetics, and have done some work with the International Olympic Committee in their sports dietetics diploma. So definitely know how to work well with athletes to fuel the body. So this is definitely a common issue that comes up with people as they're training for endurance races, and kind of getting into the thick of things. If you think about it, it is a lot of stress that we're putting onto our body. So making sure that we have a good balanced lifestyle is one of the first things that we start with. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here so you can see. So this is my approach to helping individuals with their wellness. So the first thing that we start off with is mindset. So making sure that headspace is working appropriately for us, and that we're not getting in our own way sometimes. Because a lot of times when we are training and running, we're running all these miles and we think, oh, I can eat anything. But unfortunately, you can't outrun a bad diet. So making sure that we're fueling our body appropriately and understanding that, like, yes, we are exercising, but we're not in full-blown Ironman training all the time. And even still, we want to make sure that we're utilizing that food as fuel to help support that activity. The next component that we focus on is rest. So making sure that we're getting adequate sleep. Not only is this going to help energize you, but it's also going to help to have more balanced hormones. So if we're getting 7 or less hours of sleep per night, you are going to see an increase in ghrelin, which is your hunger hormone, and a decrease in leptin, which helps you feel full. So that can result in kind of like mindless munching or feeling unsatiated. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this, but if I don't get my sleep, I am a bottomless pit. So making sure that you're getting adequate rest. This is also going to help you manage your stress and control emotional eating that might come into play as you're putting even more stress physically on your body on top of the mental stress that you might have with your career as well. And the next one is going to go into nutrition. So we're only going to get into these top 3 today. But when it comes to nutrition, you want to make sure that you're eating and building your diet in a reflection to your training. So I'm going to go ahead and switch screens here. So this is, let's see, can I make this big? Interview. Okay. So this is what your plate should be looking like on an easy training day, or if you're really looking to slim down. So an easy training day can be a 4-mile run, maybe less than 45 minutes of activity throughout the day. If you're not breaking a sweat, you're definitely on an easy training day. So if you look at the plate here, half of our plate is coming from fruits and vegetables. So the reason that we're doing this is because it keeps our carbohydrates in control. So we're still including carbohydrate sources. So this can be in the form of pasta, rice, potatoes, cereals, breads, legumes, ideally in their whole grain form. So that is whole grain pasta, brown rice, black rice, wild rice, quinoa, millet, barley, oats, whole grain breads, things of that nature, because we're really wanting that fiber factor. Same with the fruits and vegetables. They're incorporating a lot of fiber into their diet. And this is what's going to help you feel satiated. Also, what's important about these fruits and vegetables is they're going to incorporate a lot of water to the diet. So the majority of our hydration actually comes from the foods that we eat. So if we're relying heavily on packaged foods or pre-made foods, especially if you're having a busy lifestyle, let's say you get up, run at 4 or 5 in the morning, or maybe 6, and then you run off to work and you're just grabbing like a protein bar or like, a granola bar, we're not getting a lot of water into our system. And water is also going to be something that helps to create uh, uh, more bulk in the diet. So if we're having a peach and a whole grain toast and maybe some almond butter and hard-boiled egg, that's giving us a really nice balance of protein, fiber, and nutrients as well. So we want to make sure that we have a lot of color on our plate, because each different color is going to represent a different antioxidant or a nutrient compound that can help us to recover a lot more effectively and reduce that fatigue that you might feel after a long day of training. Any questions on that?
No, this looks great.
Okay, awesome. Let's see. So this is our moderate day training plate. So as you can see, we're having a different distribution of grains to vegetables. So we're having a little bit more grains on the plate. I like to say it's kind of like a peace sign. So we're having a little bit more grains, which is going to contribute more carbohydrates to our diet, which is our fuel source. So when you're doing aerobic training, the majority of your fueling is coming from glucose or the glycogen stored in your muscles that's being broken down into that glucose to be utilized as energy. So glucose or carbohydrates is the energy currency unless you're in a ketosis state. So we want to make sure that we're utilizing that effectively. And there's different strategies that you can do during your training to make sure that you're getting enough. But that's a whole other subject that we can get into.
I did have a question in the last, actually it applies to this one as well. One of the things I've done as a shortcut for myself is that I'll put grains and fruits instead. So I basically get my carbs from, simple carbs from fruits instead of grains. Do you think that's good advice or bad advice?
I think that still grains are going to have a lot of good B vitamins. So especially as we're adding additional stress, those B vitamins are going to be more imperative, specifically the B6 and B12. So we're wanting to make sure we replenish.
Really good answer.
Yep. So fruit are great. Dried fruit's awesome. It's also a great pre-workout snack, or just a sweet treat if you need something or a little boost throughout the day. So I am definitely pro fruits, but having whole grains in there is going to help to add a lot more of that sports nutrition and different nutrients that you need as well. So here's our hard day training, or if you're doing a 10K, even like a 6K, 5K, this is a great plate to have beforehand or right after. So really, if you're trying to manage your weight, you want to, when you're cutting calories, because essentially, you do need to watch your caloric intake if you're trying to lose weight. You want to do it more in the building phase of your training, not when you're like trying to peak for a race, but you want to do it like in the low, long distance endurance miles. But if you're cutting your calories, you want to do it as far away from your workout as you can. So let's say you work out in the morning, have a good breakfast right afterwards. Allow yourself to get the food that it needs to stop when you're full. But at the end of the day, go a little bit lighter in your dinner. So this helps you to shave a little bit of calories off, but you're also replenishing your stores significantly after a harder workout. So for this harder training, you see this grains distribution category is going to be much higher. So maybe you do a big bowl of oatmeal afterwards. Maybe you do have some pastas. There's a lot more fun pastas out there. This these days. I love the bonanza pastas or the lentil ones. So those will still have a lot of good carbohydrates to them, but they're also going to have a lot more nutrients as well. And then if you are training hard, if you're running, 9, 10 plus miles, you do need whole grains into your diet. You really do need to focus on that carbohydrate content to help you feel your best. Or you might find that you are being fatigued, you are fading in a workout, you're bonking, an hour, hour and a half into it because you don't have enough carbohydrate stores built up in the muscles. So your glycogen compounds in your muscles is not fully replenished if you're not having enough carbohydrate in the diet. So therefore, you're having a decrease in your ability to work out, a decrease in performance, and you're probably not going to see the results that would be reflective of the training that you're actually doing.
So I have a question about, and maybe you're going to cover this later. How do you define an easy day, a moderate day, and a hard day?
So an easy day, I would say less than 45 minutes of exercise. Maybe you're breaking a sweat, maybe not. You're not really like digging deep. If your training schedule is giving you a lighter day and a day off, those would be the easy days. A moderate day would be maybe like a track workout, high intensity workout. You could do like a tempo or a fartlek. And then a hard day, I would say, would be your race days. It would be a maximal effort day. It would be a long run day. So I would have this definitely right after, but you might even want to do it beforehand too if you're really wanting to perform well in that workout. So when I was in college, we would always have like a light day on Friday and then a heavy workout on Saturday. So honestly, even though it was a light day on Friday, I would still eat pretty well that day because I wanted to perform well in my harder workouts. So it kind of depends on what you're looking to do. So if you're trying to cut weight, maybe you have a good breakfast before you work out to help energize you for that. Because if you're not feeling good in your workout, it's going to be a lot harder to maintain that leanness. And we also don't want to cut our calories so much so that we slow down the metabolism. And this is where working with a dietitian can help you better understand how much is enough for you.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions on that?
Let's see. When you say grains, I think you're really saying get some complex carbohydrates. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep. So complex
Starches.
carbohydrates.
Yeah.
Oatmeal, brown rice, quinoa, barley. You can do whole grain cereals are fine. If you can tolerate, bread, gluten, or whole grain bread, sprouted grain breads. The Ezekiel ones are really nice. But kind of find out what works for you. So maybe you can have a couple slices of bread throughout the week and that feels good. But if you have too much, maybe you swap out your avocado toast on bread for like a sweet potato toast with avocado on top instead. So trying to find what works well for you.
All right. And it basically says 2 tablespoons of fats. Is this for the meal or the whole day?
This is more for like the whole day, but it depends on the individual. So if you're running a lot of miles, it's kind of like so you have a teaspoon here, you have a tablespoon here, you have 2 tablespoons here. So if someone is running, let's say 35 miles, the first thing when I'm building a meal plan is we're going to focus on making sure that they're getting their carbohydrate and protein content. And then any additional calories that they need is going to be contributed towards fat. So I know that I have a high metabolism. I'm super active. So I tend to have a lot more fat in my diet just to make those calories up, because 1 gram of protein and carbohydrates equates to 4 calories. 1 gram of fat equates to 9 calories, and 1 gram of alcohol equates to 7 calories. So making sure that you're aware of how to use these calories to help you perform effectively is very helpful. So there's specific calculations that you can do if you want to get really nitty gritty, but this overall plate method of half your plate is fruits and vegetables for an easy day, peace sign for a moderate day, or half your plate coming from whole grains or grain sources on a harder day is a great way to just kind of keep it super simple and follow a good guideline with things.
And do you mean to say, is this a 3 plate a day program, or is it 2 plates a day?
So
or
generally your whole diet should look like this. If you like to snack, maybe you fill in the gaps with your snacks. I always encourage people, if they are snackers, to have like a snack box and build it accordingly. So maybe you do like almost like a bento box where you can pull from it throughout the day, but you know you're getting a good balanced meal from that box. Or I'll do like a healthy charcuterie board, because sometimes it's just me cooking for myself in the evening and I don't always want to cook. And sometimes I like to snack through dinner. So having like, you know, some strategic snacks on there can really help to improve the quality of the diet that way.
all right. But this is, if you're just looking at the whole day, you are talking about 3 plates. Is that correct?
3 plates, but some people do like to incorporate snacks. So usually like 1 to 2 snacks is typically appropriate. Unless you're doing really heavy training, then you might want to incorporate, you know, 1 or 2 more.
Okay. I do think that 3 plates might be, I think that might like cause weight gain for some women. That is my impression,
Not
with
necessarily.
that amount of
Women
grain
are
and that amount of
typically-
protein.
A lot of women are typically under eating, to be honest. Like, you know, if you're eating less than 1,200 calories a day, you're putting yourself at risk for severe nutrient deficiency. So I know that like sometimes keeping it simple can be beneficial. So like in the morning, if you just want to do like an apple and peanut butter, you're getting your vegetables. So like let's say apple and peanut butter for breakfast. You're getting your vegetables, you're getting some protein in here. Maybe you have like some hummus and crackers for a snack, so you're getting a little bit more on here. And then you have a big salad for lunch. So you're kind of blending these into the day, but the majority of your diet is looking like this.
I understand. I just think that I'm just looking at the amount. If we're talking about, say, a 9-inch plate, for example, if we just looked at a 9-inch plate, I'd say a quarter. So like a quarter of the plate can be half a cup to a whole cup of pasta, right?
Right. So typically for someone who's trying to watch the weight, yeah, like half a cup to a whole cup. So like half your fist to a whole fist, depending on your height and weight.
Right. And I just think 3, and then like we're talking about a chicken breast for that quarter plate of
or like
protein.
the size of your palm. So you notice the protein doesn't change too much. So you can only absorb about 20 to 30 grams of protein per sitting. So for people who are consuming the protein shakes that have 35, 40 grams, in the end, that's just extra calories that is added in there.
Mm-hmm. Right. So what I'm getting at is, are you recommending 3 chicken breasts per day and 3 cups of pasta per day? Because to me, that sounds like that sounds like I would gain weight.
Well, for this, you'd probably just be having a half a cup.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense to me.
But for this, you might have a cup and a half or 2 cups. You know, if you're running 10, 12 miles, then yeah, you definitely need, you know, 2 cups probably of good whole grains. If not, we're gonna find kind of that yo-yo happening of like restrict, overeat, restrict, and it makes it harder to regulate your energy in your workout. So you're constantly up and down. But what we want is more nice, even flow of energy.
I agree that 2 cups of grains for a hard training day is a good dinner. I just don't think that 2 cups of grains 3 times a day sounds like a good plan. No, right? No. So when we say that
it depends on your activity level. So if you are doing 10 plus miles, then that honestly would probably be pretty appropriate. to have it at least for one day to help really replenish those glycogen stores. And
Okay.
then you shift back to the moderate or easy training days to help kind of balance things out.
All right, everyone, you heard it here. 6 cups of grains for a race day.
Well,
I'm just going by, like, we get advice, and we just want to be clear on this. Is we're not eating the whole time we're racing, so we do need to get it like so. All right, so let's take a marathon day, which is we'll just say 4 hours for a normal runner, right? We'll just say 4 hours, 3 to 4 hours. So how would you do the plate before and after the run?
So I would do if you're doing a marathon, I would go back over here and have a good dinner beforehand. And then you'll probably want, you'll probably be eating throughout the race as well. So you'll probably have maybe some dried fruit. You'll probably have some goose. So that's contributing to your carbohydrate content. So whether it looks perfectly like this all the time, maybe not on race day. It might be that you have this hard training plate beforehand. You incorporate a lot of carbohydrates during your race. And then afterwards, you have this hard training plate. And then following up with that, like, I would still make sure that we're getting a good carbohydrate protein ratio to continue to support muscle protein synthesis or the regeneration of that muscle, to make sure that we're rebuilding after a hard workout, because you do tear apart the muscles. And there's a reason why that carbohydrate content is there. So we're looking for a 1-to-4 ratio to really stimulate that muscle protein synthesis and support replenishment. Now, everyone's body is different. So if you do work a sedentary job all the time, maybe going full hard training is not going to be good. So if you're only running 8 to 9 miles and then you sit the rest of the day, this moderate training plate is probably going to be more what you're looking for.
I think that's good. All right. Yeah, I think I liked how you said the dinner the day before. Go ahead and have that hard training plate.
So
and the
also
day after the race,
like,
yeah,
every night at midnight, your calories don't reset. So it's very fluid. So if you're trying to say, okay, I'm only going to have 1,500 calories every single day, if you eat 1,500 calories 1,200 calories one day, and then the next day you're like, I'm only going to have 1,500 calories. It doesn't necessarily work like that. Your body doesn't work on a 24-hour, reset button. It's constantly moving and shaping and shifting. So that's where kind of going back to your hunger and satiety cues and learning to tap back into that. And to be able to better do that, you do need to make sure that you're getting enough sleep and drinking enough water, so you're not misconstruing internal cues.
Sounds great. What else have you got for us today?
That was the bulk of what I was planning on covering, unless you had any other specific questions.
I think this is a great start. Let's see. I do think, like, the questions I had were the ones that I brought up were kind of like knowing when. So to me, these look like breakfast. These to me look more like they look like lunch and dinner plates, so it looks less like breakfast plates. And I have had trouble managing weight when I eat when I have large breakfast plates. I tend to overeat for the whole day when I have and that's some people are the exact opposite. If they have a larger breakfast plate, they tend to not eat as much during the day.
So typically when you're having more in the morning, that's better for longevity. It's better for the metabolism. Right. So sometimes people say, like, when they do have breakfast, it tends to make them eat more. But if you think about it, like, when you're having breakfast, you're breaking your fast. So you're stimulating that metabolism. So naturally it might be a little bit higher, but I've also found that if people try and fast all day, maybe they're really busy at work and they can get away with that, they'll eat a lot more at night, and they'll typically eat into dark hours. So we're starting to eat closer to when we're going to bed, when we should naturally have a lighter meal at the end of the day to help facilitate that sleep.
Right, right. And I've had better luck having a larger meal at like around 10 or 11. So it's just kind of a later breakfast. So that's been helpful for me. Let's see. I think that's I think we covered a lot of good territory here. Why don't we post this? Go ahead and post this. And if everybody, you've watched this video, if there are questions that you would like clarified, or if you have other questions that might be helpful, I think Eleanor would be more than happy to address that. And I know it gets down to really specific things like, hey, Eleanor, I tried this and and I had this result. And hey, Eleanor, I tried this and I know I had this result. So and there are other there's a lot of other tips that go along with this. I think this is a good this was a good place to start for are you getting all of these vegetables? Are you getting enough complex carbohydrates? I think that's a really good place to start. And if you have more specific questions, please post them in the comments. Please send us email. I'll have all of our contact information in the notes below. And yeah, we want to make these videos helpful for you, of course, and to reflect what you're actually looking for. And I know the people who've been, doing this for a long time have different kinds of questions than people who are just starting out. If you're just starting out, this is a really good place to start out. And of course, you're going to tailor your eating to what works for you. There's tons of things we can talk about. We can talk about water. We can talk about coffee. We can talk about, I think sleeping is really great. I want you to talk about those other 3 things on the diagram that you had at the building. I think environment and I forget, social support. It was like community or connection. I think you had. I just thought that was really beautiful things to address. That will make your running more effective. That'll make your performance actually better, and keep you healthier all around. Yeah. All right. Is that it for today, Eleanor? Are you good with this?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and if anybody wants to get in contact with me, they can look me up at Elevated Nutrition and Wellness, or on social media at elevated.nutrition, where I'm always putting out new tips and ideas that you can try out as well.
And Eleanor, do you have any programs you'd like to promote at this time?
I will be launching a group coaching program in September, in addition to the one-on-one consulting that I offer. So keep an eye out for that. You can go on to elevatednutritionandwellness.com and sign up for the newsletter. There's also an awesome wellness assessment to help you better understand how you're balancing those 6 elements, and what areas you might be overlooking as well.
I love it. I might join that group. That just sounds fantastic. And if you're looking for cross training online, I do have Zoom coaching that I would Zoom workouts, group workouts. It's my most affordable training. I did want to keep affordable, accessible training for everyone while we're working out all of the things America is working out. So please DM me for that, and we've got more. You can learn more about me and my lighthearted approach to fitness at lightheartedfitness.com. I'm on social media at lightheartedfitness.com, and I hope to, and we both genuinely hope we can help you and are and providing a good service for you and building our communities, just the way we build our plates, right?
Yep.
Awesome. All right. Thanks for joining us.
All right. Bye. Okay, cool.
How'd you feel about that?
Good.
I thought that was pretty good.